Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me once again. If this is the first time you are watching any of my videos, my name is Adoma and I upload crochet related content, so I will encourage that you do subscribe and turn on your post notifications so that you do not miss out on any of my videos. As promised, I bring you the detailed tutorial of this beautiful red dress which I uploaded a vlog some few days ago, and I promised you guys that I'm going to deliver. So this is the exclusive tutorial, and I would love you to pay attention and also give this video a thumbs up so that it grows and reaches out a new audience. So for this tutorial, you are going to need some acrylic yarn. I use approximately 2 packs, which each is 40 grams of net weight, it's a 1.5 millimeter hook, a pair of scissors to cut off excess yarns. So right into the first step, I made a waistband, and this waistband is very easy since I've been making a lot of waistbands in all my skirt tutorials. All you have to do is to chain the amount of length you want and make half double crochets in the back loop. So I chained a total of 13 and made the first row of half double crochet, and the following rows were in the back loops to get a stretchy effect. But I'll be linking down tutorials which will help you if you don't know how to make this waistband. Since we don't want to make this tutorial lengthy, we are going to start the skirt procedure for the dress as soon as possible. So after making the waistband, we are going to join simply by a slip stitch, which is taking the back loops of 2 of the waistband sector, inserting your hook and making a single crochet stitch. So you are finding your back loops of both waistband, which you are going to join, and then you are going to single crochet to join. So make sure you single crochet till you get to the end of the row. Where you are finally going to turn over your work to hide in the seam and finally start your skirt pattern. So yes, it makes your seam hidden and it gives you a nice feature. So we are going to start the main skirt portion, which is very easy. It's going to be mainly made of half double crochets, but for the first row we are going to single crochet. So insert your hook. When you have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, just apply single crochet stitches in any space you find along the bottom of the waistband, just to clean up the edge to get ready for the half double crochet. So I'm going to single crochet all around, and then I'll meet you slip stitch to join. So I single crocheted all around the waistband to clean up the edge, and I slip stitch to join. And now I'm getting ready to make my very first row of half double crochet, which is exactly row 2. So this is the very first single crochet, this is the last but one single crochet, and then I'm just going to slip stitch to join to the very first single crochet, which I recommend that you place a stitch marker there in order to help you identify. So for the next row, which I told you, we are going to chain a total of 2, which counts as a stitch, and then we are going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next space, pull through. When you have 3 loops on the hook, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over, insert into the space, next space, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is how to do a half double crochet stitch. And we are just going to repeat this half double crochet stitch in all the spaces you find right directly on top of the single crochets you did to clean up the skirts, the base of the skirts. So I'm just going to apply 1 half double crochet in each stitch smoothly all around the waistband until you get to the end of the row. realize that the stitches are coming out neatly and it's straight and is not having any ruffled effect. If you are beginning to have this, then you have a problem. It means you are applying too much stitches at one place. So make sure you have double crochet, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we begin the next row. Okay, I'm going to have double crochet all around, and then I will slip stitch to join. So I slip stitch to join. This is the very first row. For the next row, we are going to do half double crochet stitches. As you can see, I just want you to take a clear view of how I get to the very end, which I recommend that you place a stitch marker so you know the very first stitch you made. So this is going to be the last but one half double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch to join the very first. So this is how I slip stitch to join. I place my hook at the back. It's optional, okay? I place my hook at the back and I pull the loop that I left for the very last stitch, and then I use the hook to pull through, okay, just to slip stitch. And then I'm going to begin my next row. For the next row, I'm just going to chain a total of 2 half double crochet into the next stitch, okay? So half double crochet into the next stitch, and then half double crochet all along the edges till I get to the end of the row. So nothing different. You are just applying your half double crochet stitches along the waist, just to, you know, progress with the skirt. And there's no increase or decrease here. You just make sure that you're doing the right thing and you're having a perfect effect. You shouldn't have a ruffled work. Just half double crochet along the edges, and I'll meet you at the end of the row where we join and begin the next row. So at this moment, I did a total of 9 rows of half double crochet with no increase or decrease, and I placed my stitch marker at 2 stitches, which is one side, the left side and the right side. And you just have to figure out the middle aspect of this, and then go 7.5 inch for one side and then 7.5 for the other, since the total waistband measures 15 inch and we have not done any increase. So you just mark your stitch, figure out the side panel and stitch mark it with an office pin or a stitch marker. So you have to take note of this before you continue with the next section. For the next row, we are going to chain a total of 2.5 double crochet as usual in the next stitch and in all the stitches to meet your stitch marker. Okay, so you are going to just make sure that you have your half double crochet stitch in line directly on top of each stitch, just to maintain the straightness and neatness of this skirt pattern. And you are just going to simply half double crochet to meet the stitch marker. So I'll meet you exactly at the portion where the stitch marker has been placed for the very first side panel. So guys, we are gradually meeting the very first stitch marker which was played for the side panel for the very first increase, since we have to extend the sides of the hip area. So in that same space you are going to place a total of 2 half double crochets. Okay, so just simply take off the stitch marker, and then in that same exact space put a total of 2 half double crochets. So 1, and in the same space 2. Okay, just to increase the, do your first increase for the very first row. So this is the very first row of increase, which is row 10, and after this you are just going to have double crochet all along as usual till you meet your next stitch marker for the next side panel, and then you are going to place a total of 2 half double crochets just like we just did. And make sure you place your stitch marker back in where you increase, because you are going to do several rows of increase after this row before we go on with other sections. So I'm gladly placing back my stitch marker. Sorry for this ridiculous stitch marker, but you can use a piece of yarn if you don't have a stitch marker. You don't necessarily need an office pin or any fancy stitch marker. So I did my increase, okay, and I'm just going along with my regular half double crochet till I slip stitch to join and begin the next row. So I just did an increase exactly at the second space by putting a total of 2 half double crochets in the same exact space. And as I told you, when you are done, you are place back your stitch marker at the same exact space where you did your increase, so that you do not get missing when we are increasing for the next row, since the increase will be at the same portion for the next row. So just have double crochet all along after the increase and slip stitch to join, and then that will be the end of this row until we go on with the next row. So guys, at this point I did a total of 7 rows of increase, the same by putting 2 half double crochets in the same stitch on where we place the stitch marker, as I told you previously. And this is how the project is going to look so far. You are going to have a widening hip sector. So after this total of 7 rows of increase, including the very first one I showed you, are going to chain 2 after slip stitching to join and make a half double crochet, okay, in the next stitch. As usual, make sure that your seam is straight, okay. So if you are not getting a straight seam, don't worry, you fall back. But if you are not getting, it means you are doing something wrong, so you have to take notice of this. So I'm just going to have double crochet regularly, okay, along swiftly. This time no increase or decrease, and I'm just going to do half double crochet rows for a total of 12 or more, depending on how much coverage you want. My skirt was a mini skirt, so you can a mini bodycon, so you can do extra rows in order to make your length a little bit longer. But if you are choosing any medium weight yarn, I'm optimistic that it won't be that short. So after my 12 extra regular rows, this is how my project is looking. You realize that I've had an increase and then an increase row which expanded the side of the hip to provide more coverage for the hip area and to make it much more bodycon and much more nicer. And I'm just loving the project so far. It was fun working with this dress and especially the skirt pattern. At this point I'm going to do extra rows of increase, and for this sector, as usual, you have to figure out where you are going to increase. Okay, so you are going to figure out the side panels in order to know where to increase again. So I'm going to place the stitch marker at the side of the skirt, or you can just use your tape measure just to be sure. And then so the left and the right side, just like how we did for row 10 when we were increasing. I can't find my other stitch marker, so I'm just going to pull a yarn just to mark that place. We are going to continue after 12 rows of regular rows. We are going to do a decrease in those stitches, not an increase, sorry, a decrease in those stitches that we just marked. So after chaining 2, we are going to half double crochet and place a half double crochet in all the stitches till you meet the stitch marker, where you are going to place your first section of decrease, and then you are going to do the same at this other stitch marker. So I'm just going to half double crochet, as you can see, and I'll meet you at where the stitch marker is. So this is where the stitch marker was supposed to be. This is where I pulled the yarn to mark, and I'm going to do my row of decrease. So yarn over insert with 3 loops on the hook, yarn over pull through 2. So this is the exact space. So yarn over insert with 3 loops on the hook. Okay, to decrease, when you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over pull through 2. You now have 2 loops on the hook, insert in the next stitch. Okay, pull through, you now have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over pull through all 3 loops. So that's how I did my half double crochet decrease in that same space. So you realize as 2 stitches becomes 1, and then after this decrease, you are just going to do your regular half double crochet till you meet your next stitch marker and apply the same thing I just taught you. The decrease, the half double crochet decrease, you can choose any method of decrease as long as you are cool with how it is, but I'm just going to do my half double crochet, and then I'll do my decrease in the next stitch marker, which is this one, and then half double crochet and slip stitch to join. So that's what I did just now. Okay, I did my decrease at the side panels and I slip stitch to join, and we are going to do a total of 5 rows of decrease, just as I just taught you, in the same stitch where you place the stitch marker. You realize that the decrease is only happening on the side panels, which was stitch marked, but not any other stitch. But if you happen to miss a few stitches, it won't affect the project as much as you are following the pattern very well. So after 5 rows of decreasing in where I place my stitch marker, I'm now finally going to chain 2 and begin my next rows of regular rows. Okay, so now I'm going to work along half double crochets without any increase or decrease. So this is really easy, just half double crochet rows without any increase or decrease till you are satisfied with the length. I'll give you the information of how many rows I did in total right on your screen, and I'm sure you would figure out your length depending on how you want your skirt to be. But working on this skirt was very easy. It can be multi. You can use this skirt for a lot of things. You can make a dress. You can make a 2-piece with this skirt, and I just love the outcome. So guys, I did several rows, and the total number of rows is right on your screen. And this kit was fun working with. I love the feature and I love the stitch I chose for this particular skirt. It looks much more closed and much more neater. But you can either use this as a two-piece, make a bralette for this, or you can join me and make this beautiful dress. So after you are done with your skirt, you cut off your yarn, fold your project into two where the waist is, and then pull a loop to figure out the middle. So place a stitch marker to figure out the middle of the skirt, and then stitch mark 3 inches away from the middle, and then do the same again, 3 inches on your right. So 3 inches on your left, 3 inches on your right. Place your stitch marker there, and then we are going to have a total of 6 inches gap for the back sector of this dress. So those concerned about the back coverage, don't worry. When you are done and you create the straps and the strap holes, you realize that it's stretchy enough to cover those aspects, leaving a little space. So after that, you are going to make a slip knot and join at where you have placed your stitch marker. So just swiftly remove the stitch marker now, since you are going to start the project. Slip stitch to join, and then chain a total of 2. Single crochet to join instead. Single crochet along towards the skirts, just to create this nice and clean look before we start the rows of half double crochet. So yes, for the body aspect or the bodice, we are going to apply half double crochet rows, just to be sure. But the very first row is going to be single crochet, just to clean the borders of the upper aspect of the waistband. So we are going to single crochet along. I'm just placing my stitch marker back to be safer, to meet the next stitch marker. So single crochet all along, and then single crochet around to meet this stitch marker before we begin the next row. Okay, so I single crochet all along till I met the next stitch marker. So you realize that this is the gap in between, and sorry for that. And for the next row, which I told you is going to be half double crochet rows, we are going to work along again. So chain your total of 2 first, turn your work, and then place your very first half double crochet in the next stitch. So yarn over, pull through all 3 loops as usual. You should know your half double crochet basic stitch, and this is not a basic tutorial, so I'm not really throwing more light on how to do the half double crochet stitch, but you should know how to do this by now, since there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to do basic stitches. So I'm just going to half double crochet along the single crochet we just did to clean up the edge. Make sure you are in the right stitch and you are not putting 2 stitches in one, and that's important, just to keep the straight edge. So half double crochet till you meet the end of the row, which is the next stitch marker right here. Okay, so half double crochet along till you meet the stitch marker, and then we are going to proceed with the next stage. So I managed to do my half double crochet rows till I met the next stitch marker. So as usual, I'm just going to repeat what we just did for row 2 after the single crochet row. So you are just going to chain 2, make sure you turn over your work, and then half double crochet towards this side. So what you are doing is that we are doing this corset, kind of thin, just to cover from your belly button to your nipple area. I hope you are getting the concept by now. That is what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so we are just making sure that we get some coverage before we continue with the next section, which is the V separation of the bust area or the V-neck feature of the dress. So this is pretty easy, and this is the most easiest sector of the dress. Just doing half double crochet rows till you are satisfied. So I'm just going to skip this too much talking. I know you are bored by now, and then make my rows of half double crochet, and I'll tell you the exact information you need to complete yours. So basically you need about 7 inch to 8 inches depending on 5 inch to 6 inch depending on how much coverage you want or how high waisted your belly your body portion is. But I did a total of 5.5 inch, and that is the extra information you need. As you can see, the skirt on the dummy, I'm just going to do half double crochet till I meet the nipple sector, and then we work on the V-neck feature. At this section, we are going to concentrate on the V-neck feature of the dress pattern, and I worked one side behind camera because of how time consuming the project is, but I'm going to explain to you how I worked that coming up. So first of all, you are going to fold your project into 2. You figure out the middle as usual, just like how we did for the skirt, and then you place your stitch marker in the exact middle, which I'm just holding. And after that, you are going to take your tape measure and measure 3 inches from the back and place your stitch marker there as well. It depends on what coverage you want or how much coverage you want for your armpit sector. So this it's 4.5 inch, not 3 inch. So I measured 4.5 inch, and then where the stitch markers are, which is the middle, and where I placed my stitch marker after measuring 4.5 inch is where we are going to concentrate on the V-neck feature. So first off, I'm going to remove the middle stitch marker and attach my yarn. So I'm going to turn it just to work at the right portion, and after that I'm going to join my yarn. So we are joining it at the exact middle. Take notice. So you are going to turn your work, join the stitch marker, chain 1, join the yarn, chain 1, and place a half double crochet in the next stitch. This time the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so it helps it to slant a little bit even though we do not decrease. So after this, we are going to do a regular row of half double crochet as usual to meet your stitch marker. So we are starting with the V increase and decrease. V decrease. There will be no increase for this sector. So I have double crocheted all along till I met the stitch marker. Take notice there was no decrease. So just a regular row of half double crochet. For the next row, we are going to chain 1, turn over your work, and then place your very first half double crochet in the same exact stitch. So go in the same exact stitch where you chained 1 and half double crochet, So you are going to now repeat your half double crochet stitch all along in this straight sequence till you get to the last bar 2 stitch, where you are going to stop there. You can place your stitch marker there so that you do not forget, but I'll meet you at the last bar 2 stitch. So I'm now at the last bar 2 stitch. All I have to do is yarn over, insert into the next stitch. I have 3 loops, and then insert again into the final stitch, and then I have 4 loops. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, which is a half double crochet decrease, and it's very simple. And this is the very first decrease for this particular V-neck feature. So for the next row, we are working towards the decrease, just to get the V-neck feature. You can even take a V-neck dress or blouse as a reference so that you go along with the pattern, or you can just follow my own pattern. So for the next row, we are going to chain 1, yarn over, insert into the next stitch. You have 3 loops, insert into the next stitch again. You now have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, which is a double crochet, sorry, half double crochet decrease. After this, you are going to have double crochet regularly to meet the end of the row. So you realize that the V-neck feature is even, forming. So I have double crocheted all along, and so I got to the end of the row. Take note, I didn't decrease at this end of the row, I just have double crocheted. And for the next row, I'm just going to chain 1, half double crochet in the same stitch, since the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then half double crochet all along till I get to the end of the row. So I stopped at the last bar 2 stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert in the next stitch, and then insert my hook in the final stitch with 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops to create a decrease, just following the V-neck feature of the one I just worked on. So the end, we have realized I've not done any decrease. I'm just doing a decrease on the middle section. So for the next row, I'm just going to chain 1 and half double crochet all along till I get to the end of the row. No increase, no decrease, just a regular row of half double crochet. So I did a total of 2 rows. Okay, so after this half double crochet, go back again with another regular row of half double crochet, and then add an extra row, so 2 extra rows of half double crochet just to keep the height up. And then for the next row, which happens to be where the V-neck feature is, I'm going to chain 1 and half double crochet in the half double crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches, just like I taught you. So after the 2 regular rows of half double crochets, you're going to do your very first decrease for the V-neck feature, and then half double crochet till you get to the end of the row, as you can see, and then chain 1, turn over your work again, half double crochet regularly till you meet where the V-neck feature is. Realize that the decrease is only on the V-neck feature and nothing else changes. Okay, so after that, you chain 1 and repeat with a half double crochet decrease once again for the V-neck feature until you have double crochet regularly, and then you get to the end of the row. Okay, so we are done. You just chain 1 and then half double crochet in the same stitch, and then in the next stitches till you meet where the V-neck feature is. Okay, so this time no decrease at the end of the row. So this is a regular row. We are going to chain 1 once again, and then yarn over, insert, pull through, and then insert in the next pull through with 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, which is the regular half double crochet decrease, to meet the end of the row, which if you have taken notice, there is no decrease at that side, just the v-neck feature. So you chain one, turn over. When you are done with this row, you chain one, turn over your work, and do a regular row, a regular half double crochet row, taking in mind that you are going to decrease at the end of the row. Again, you chain one, and then do a half double crochet decrease for the v-neck feature. So you are just decreasing to get the v-neck feature, taking in mind that you do not decrease at the end of the row. That is how this process is going about. Very simple and very easy, and I hope you are grabbing this as much as possible. You are understanding this pattern as I'm explaining it along. So I'm just going to make sure that I decrease at the end of the row. So after chaining one and just doing my regular half double crochet in the same stitch, I'm just going to half double crochet till I get to the last bar 2, where I do my half double crochet decrease, as I've been teaching you repetitively throughout this v-neck sector of the dress pattern. And yeah, we are just making sure that we are decreasing at the right sectors, so that we maintain a number of rows for the armpit area. So as usual, as you can see, I've just done my decrease at the end, and I'm just going to chain one and do another decrease again, as you can see, a half double crochet decrease before I go along with my half double crochet rows, so I get to the end of the row. And yes, that's how this process is. Pretty easy and pretty simple. Decrease in only the v-neck feature. So I'll be leaving a slideshow of the number of rows I did my decrease, just to make sure that you do not get confused at this moment. So I almost forgot to decrease, so make sure you always decrease at the v-neck feature. So you realize that the stitches are gradually decreasing, and we have about 6 stitches. Okay, so after that I'm going to chain one and do this regular half double crochet. So I'm going to maintain this number of stitches, which is 6 stitches, or however stitches you want to maintain, and I'm going to do a total number of rows, which I'll be inserting on the screen, so that you take notice. So yes, as you can see, the v-neck feature is done. Okay, just like how I just did this sector. If you take a look at this sector, I've already started with the sleeves. Okay, and the regular number of rows, which was 6 stitches, which I maintained, is what I'm going to join exactly at the back sector, where I left 4.5 inch, if you have taken notice. So I'm just going to join it at the very end, leaving just half an inch, just a small inch, and then I'm going to single crochet in the back loop to join. Okay, so make sure you turn it upside down, just to make sure that the seam is inside, not outside. So make sure your seam are always hidden. You can just use your hook to join, as you can see, making sure that you grab both back loops of what you are joining, and then swiftly join the stitches, and then turn it again. You realize that it's finally joined nicely. And now we are going to work on the sleeves. Okay, the sleeves is a time consuming project, and I hope you pay close attention, even though it's not difficult. It's just going to take a lot of time, but it's very easy to follow. So for the sleeves, I'm going to do a single crochet row as usual, just to clean up the edge before I start with my stitches. Please take note that for the sleeve sector I use a double crochet, not a half double crochet. So I use double crochet stitches throughout for the sleeves after my single crochet row, which I'm just showing you right now. So I'm just going to single crochet along the edges just to clean up the edge nicely, and then you are going to slip stitch to join and then begin the real actual work. So I'll meet you when I slip stitch to join. For the main sleeve portion, as I told you, we are using double crochet rows. So to begin, we are going to chain a total of 3 and place a double crochet in the next stitch, and double crochet until you meet the corner space, because you are going to do a decrease just to make it a little bit straight. You realize that the corner space is slanted. So we are going to double crochet to meet the corner space. This is the last but one stitch. So after that, you are going to yarn over, insert into the next space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next again, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 3, and that's how to do a double crochet decrease in the corner space. So after this double crochet decrease in the corner space, you are going to increase in every 7th stitch. So after that, you are going to double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6 and then 7. So in the 7th stitch, you are going to put 2 double crochet in the same exact space. So that's just an increase. So after your increase, you are going to double crochet regularly until you reach the 7th stitch, where you are going to put a total of 2 double crochets. So just follow this pattern and make sure that you do your increase in the same stitch, which is the 7th stitch, by putting a total of 2, and you are going to maintain this repetitive pattern till you meet the next corner space of the sleeve, where you are going to do a double crochet decrease. Remember that the double crochet decrease ensures that 2 stitches become 1, just to make the corner space a little bit straight, and you are going to add it to the number of stitches for the pattern as well. So I did my repetition, double crochet decrease in the corner space, and then making sure that I increase every 7th stitch till I got to the end of the row, where I have slip stitch to join. So for the next row, we are going to chain up a total of 3 and double crochet in the next stitch. So for this, we are going to increase in every seed stitch, with exception of the corner space, where you are going to do a double crochet decrease just to keep it slanted. So this is the 4th. After chaining, this is the 4th stitch. So getting to the corner space, you are going to do a double crochet decrease, which is the only variation for this repetition. So after putting 2 double crochets in the same stitch, which is the very first increase after 6 stitches, or the very first increase in the 6th stitch, you are going to double crochet, and then in the next 2 stitches you are going to do a double crochet decrease, which will count as 1. So in total you are going to have 2 stitches, and after that you are going to add 4 more. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the seat stitch, which is the next stitch, you are going to put a total of 2 double crochets in the same stitch. I hope you get this variation. So it means that the double crochet decrease we did counts as 1, which is as part of the repetition. So after this, we are just going to do an increase in every seat stitch, and you are going to do this for 2 rows, and you are going to take notice that in the corner space you are going to do a decrease by making 2 stitches as 1, and that's the only variation for this row. So increase in every seat stitch. So when you get to every seat stitch, put 2 double crochets in the same stitch and do this for 2 extra rows, and I'll meet you. So after that, I'm going to slip stitch to join, chain a total of 2, and then double crochet all the way down. Sorry for the shaking here, my daughter is always playing with my tripod. I'm sorry for that. But this is row 5. Okay, so row 2 was when we did a total of 2 double crochets in every seat stitch, which was an increase. So we did this for an extra 2 rows. So row 2, row 3, row 4, we did 2 double crochets in the seat stitch, and row 5 is going to be a regular row, so no increase, no decrease, just double crochet in every stitch till you slip stitch to join. So I'm done with row 5, and I love the outcome. So for row 6, you are going to chain a total of 3 double crochet into the next stitch. So the chain 3 does not count as a stitch, so this is the 3rd one, this is the 4th, the 5th. So with the seat and 7th stitch, you are going to do a double crochet decrease. So you are going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the following. You have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you have 3 loops now, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, which is a double crochet decrease. So the seat and 7th stitch now end up becoming 1 stitch, and then you are going to apply your double crochet till you get to the seat and 7th stitch, where you are going to apply your decrease. So row 6 is a row of decrease. Okay, so now we are in the seat and 7th stitch, where we do our double crochet decrease. We are going to do this repetitive format all along the sleeve till you slip stitch to join. Very easy. And then you are going to do another row, the same row repetition of row 6 for row 7, and then we resume to row 8. So I'll meet you at row 8. So I did my decrease of the seat and 7th stitch for row 6 and 7, and now we are about to do row 8, which is a regular row, and that will be the repetition of the row till we get to the very first elastic sector, where we are going to bunch up. So I did a regular row till I got to the 32nd row. So from row 8 to row 32 are regular rows of no increase or decrease. So that is how this progress is, and I'm now going to show you how to join the elastic, which is very simple. Okay, so I have 2 elastic options. I'm using a rubber tie instead, which is stretchy as well. You can use anything which is stretchy, or you can just purchase an elastic thread, which is approximately a few cents, very very cheap. You can just get one and tie a knot to get a circle before attaching. So after that, you are going to slip stitch to join, and you are going to single crochet around the circle. We just have this elastic circle, and just make sure that you single crochet all along, hiding in the circles, just like how you hiding extra strands when you are working on projects. So it will enable your project to bunch up. Make sure you just single crochet in each stitch until you get the bunch up effect, and then we continue with the next portion of the sleeves, which is simple and easy. So I managed to do my single crochet and I slip stitch to join all around to bunch up the sleeves. We realized that it's looking cute already and I'm just loving the bunch up effect. So for the next row, we are going to, let me slip stitch to join first. For the next row, we are going to chain up a total of 3 and double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the following, and then for the next stitch you are going to put a total of 2 in the same exact space. So this means you are increasing every third stitch. So after you increase, you are going to double crochet, so 1, 2, and then you are now in a third stitch. So in that same third stitch you are going to put a total of 2 in the same exact space to keep a ruffled effect and to make it more bigger before we continue this project. So increase every third stitch and slip stitch to join and repeat this for 2 more rows and I'll meet you at the end. So I want to show you a little bit feature. After an increase, you are going to do regular rows until you do a bunch up effect and then finally the bell sleeve. Okay, so it's pretty simple from here, but I'm going to show you the process. I'm going to increase in every third stitch for 2 extra rows. Okay, I joined my second portion of sleeves and you can see the number of rows I did for the second portion right on your screen. So I joined the elastic and now I'm going to work on the bell sleeve, which is the last aspect of the sleeve. So to work the bell sleeve, we are going to increase in every third stitch, just like how we did after the second portion. So increase in every third stitch for just a row, okay? Because we have bunched up, and now to continue we are going to get this big effect, but you can do this for 2 rows depending on how dramatic you want your bell sleeve. So after increasing in every third stitch, as you can see, I'm going to slip stitch to join and then continue with regular rows of double crochet. As you can see, I'm done with this part. I'm just going to do the exact same thing just to maintain the feel. And for the bell sleeve, I did a total of 12 rows. Okay, you can do more depending on how it is, and it depends on how dramatic you want your sleeves. The more dramatic, the more yarn you need and the more rows you need. It's pretty easy and pretty simple. So yes, I'm just going to continue my progress and I'll show you how the final outcome is. So thank you so much for watching this video. This is the final outcome. If you love this project, don't forget to subscribe, turn on your post notification, and also don't skip the ads of this video, okay, so that your baby girl makes some coins and then we keep on being financially stable for these crochet tutorials, so that I can provide more and more. If you have not watched my official vlog for this dress pattern, it will be linked in the description box as well. All the materials I used and all my inspiration information will also be in the description box. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll be looking forward for you to tag me in your Instagram posts as well as all other social media handles, whether TikTok or Twitter as well, which will also be in the description box. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.